I'm 76 years old, and I need to tell you something while I still have the strength to say it. The doctors gave me 6 months, maybe a year if I'm lucky. Prostate cancer, spread to the bones. There's no fixing it now. So I'm sitting here in this house that's too big for one person, trying to make sense of what my life actually added up to. When I was young, I thought I had it all figured out. Working class. My father was a machinist. My mother cleaned houses. They worked hard, saved what they could, and told me education was the way out. So I believed them. I studied, got into college, graduated with a business degree, and landed a job at a mid-size manufacturing company. I was 23 years old, and I felt like I'd made it. The work wasn't glamorous. I started in purchasing, moved to operations, eventually worked my way into management. The money was decent. Not rich, but comfortable. I bought a car, got my own apartment, started dating a woman named Linda who worked in accounting. We got married when I was 26. Everyone said we were perfect together, and maybe we were for a while. But I was ambitious. I wanted more. Not just money, though, that was part of it. I wanted to prove something. To my parents, to myself, to everyone who thought I'd end up in a factory like my old man. So I worked, long hours, weekends, holidays. I took on extra projects, volunteered for assignments no one else wanted, stayed late to impress the bosses. I got promoted, then promoted again. By the time I was 35, I was a senior manager with a team of 20 people under me. Linda and I bought a house, had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I thought I was doing everything right, providing for my family, building a future, being responsible, but I was never home. I'd leave before the kids woke up, get back after they'd gone to bed. On weekends, I was too tired to do much besides watch TV or catch up on work I'd brought home. Linda would ask me to come to school events, birthday parties, family dinners. I'd say yes, then cancel at the last minute because something came up at work. There was always something. I told myself it was temporary, that once I got the next promotion, things would calm down. Once we paid off the mortgage, once the kids were older, once I reached a certain salary, just a little bit longer. I hit 40 and realized I'd been saying that for 15 years. My son was in high school. My daughter was in middle school. I barely knew them. I knew their names, their grades, the sports they played. But I didn't know what they cared about, what they dreamed about, what kept them up at night. Linda had stopped asking me to come to things. She'd stopped waiting for me at dinner. She'd built a life that didn't include me, because I'd made it clear I wasn't available. And I still didn't change. I told myself I was doing it for them, that they'd understand when they were older, that providing a good life meant sacrificing time now for security later. But what I was really doing was hiding. Work was easy. I knew how to do it. I was good at it. People respected me there. At home, I felt awkward, out of place, like I'd missed too much to ever catch up. So I kept working. In my mid-40s, I had a heart attack. Not a massive one, but enough to land me in the hospital for a week. I remember lying in that bed, wires attached to my chest, listening to the machines beep. Linda came to visit. She sat in the chair next to the bed and held my hand. She didn't say much, just sat there. I asked her if the kids were coming. She said they had school. I said they could miss a day. She looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "They don't know you well enough to be scared." That should have been the wake-up call. The moment everything changed. But it wasn't. I went back to work 3 weeks later, told myself I'd cut back, take it easier, spend more time at home. And I did for a little while. I made it to a couple of soccer games, had dinner with the family a few times a week. But slowly, gradually, I slipped back into the same patterns, the same excuses, the same promises to do better next week. My son graduated high school, went off to college across the country. I barely saw him after that. Christmas maybe. Summer break if he didn't have an internship. My daughter followed a few years later. Linda and I were alone in the house, just the two of us. We didn't have much to say to each other. I was 52 when she asked for a divorce. She didn't yell, didn't cry, just sat me down one evening and said she was done, that she'd spent 26 years married to someone who was never really there, that she'd tried to make it work, tried to understand, tried to be patient, but she was tired. I asked if we could try counseling. She said we'd been in counseling 3 years ago, and I'd stopped going after 2 sessions because of work. I didn't remember that. She moved out 2 months later. The divorce was finalized within a year. She got the house. I got an apartment downtown and kept working because I didn't know what else to do. My kids called on birthdays and holidays. We'd talk for 10, maybe 15 minutes. Surface stuff. How's work? How's school? The weather? Then we'd hang up and I wouldn't hear from them for weeks. I told myself it was normal, that kids grow up and move on, that I'd done my job by giving them a good education and a stable childhood. But I knew the truth. They didn't call because we didn't have a relationship. We were strangers who happened to share DNA. I kept working. Got another promotion. Then another. I was 60, making more money than I'd ever imagined, and I had no one to share it with. I'd go to work, come home, eat dinner alone, watch TV, go to bed, do it again the next day. On weekends, I'd play golf with colleagues or go to the gym. I dated a few women, but nothing serious. I told myself I wasn't ready, that I needed time to figure myself out. But the real reason was that I didn't know how to be close to someone anymore. I retired at 65. The company threw me a party, gave me a plaque and a watch. People made speeches about my dedication and all I'd accomplished. I went home that night and sat in my apartment and felt absolutely nothing. All those years, all those hours, all those sacrifices. For what? A plaque, a watch, a pension that let me live comfortably in a place that echoed when I walked through it. I started traveling, took trips to Europe, Asia, South America, saw all the places I told myself I'd visit someday. They were beautiful, impressive, exactly like the pictures, but I was alone. I'd stand in front of the Eiffel Tower or Machu Picchu and think about how Linda always wanted to go there, how she'd cut out pictures from magazines and talk about the trip we'd take when we retired. I'd done it without her, and it meant nothing. My son got married when I was 68. I was invited to the wedding, sat in the 3rd row, watched him stand at the altar with a woman I'd never met. At the reception, he introduced me to his friends as my father. Not my dad, my father. I shook hands, made small talk, left early. My daughter had a baby a year later, my first grandchild, a little girl. I visited once, held her for a few minutes while my daughter made coffee. She cried and I handed her back, not sure what to do. My daughter didn't ask me to babysit, didn't call for advice, didn't invite me over for Sunday dinners. And I understood why. I was 73 when I got the diagnosis. Stage 4, inoperable. I called my kids to tell them. They said they were sorry, asked if I needed anything. I said no. We haven't talked much since. I'm not angry at them. I don't blame them. They're living their lives the same way I lived mine. The difference is, They're doing it while they still have time. I spent 50 years chasing something I thought mattered. Success, status, financial security, the respect of people whose names I can't even remember now. And I got it. All of it. But I lost everything that actually mattered. I lost my wife. Not to another man. Not to some dramatic fight. I lost her to 1,000 small moments I wasn't there for. To dinners I missed. To conversations I was too tired to have. To mornings I left early, and nights I came home late. I lost my kids the same way. Not in one big moment, but in every soccer game I skipped, every bedtime story I didn't read, every time I said, "Not now, I'm busy." They grew up, and I wasn't there for it. Now I'm here, in this big empty house, with all the money I worked so hard for, and absolutely no one to spend it on. I've been thinking a lot about what I'd tell my younger self if I could go back. I'd tell him that the promotion doesn't matter, the raise doesn't matter, the corner office doesn't matter. What matters is being there when your wife needs to talk, when your kids want to play, when your family is together and you have the choice to be present or be somewhere else. I'd tell him that you can't get time back, that every moment you spend away from the people you love is gone forever. That "I'll make it up to them later" is a lie you tell yourself because the truth is too painful to face. I tell him that your kids won't remember how hard you worked. They'll remember that you weren't there, and eventually they'll stop expecting you to be. I tell him that success means nothing if you're alone at the end. But I can't go back. I can't undo 50 years of choices. I can't bring Linda back. I can't rebuild relationships with my kids that never really existed in the first place. All I can do is sit here and tell you what I learned too late. If you're working long hours because you think you're building a better life for your family, stop. They don't need a bigger house or a nicer car. They need you. If you're missing dinners, skipping events, canceling plans because work is more important, it's not. I promise you, it's not. If you think you have time to make it up later, you don't. Later runs out faster than you think. I'm 76 years old. I have maybe 6 months left, and I'm going to die alone in this house, surrounded by all the things I thought mattered, and none of the people who actually did. Don't do what I did. Don't sacrifice the people who love you for a career that'll replace you the day you retire. Don't tell yourself you're doing it for them when really you're doing it for yourself. Don't assume there'll be time to fix it later. There won't be. I know this now. I wish I'd known it then. If this story meant something to you, if it made you think about your own life and the choices you're making, then maybe my mistakes weren't completely wasted. Maybe someone will hear this and do it differently. That's all I have left to hope for.